Hi again, welcome back. I don't know what this is yet. So if it's on YouTube, I'm just glad that I came out of my, box of overthinking. So today, we're not going to be talking about philosophy. However, we're talking about something much more different. We're going to be talking about climate economy. Yeah, it's a subject I've been exploring, for the past few months, and I think it's really interesting. Like before those 2 months, I was like, climate. Let Greta Thunberg do that. I mean, why do I have to get involved? And economy. I was like, come on, can you just let the Ministry of Economy and Finance do its business? Do not try to steal their job. That's what I was like, nah, climate and economy, none of those really is my thing. I mean, yes, if I'm to buy a car, I'll buy a car that does not give smoke, but only because smoke is disturbing to the eyes. Yeah, like really, I didn't care about climate. But then I hope that if you have that kind of mindset right now, hopefully at the end of this video, it might change a bit. So yeah, welcome. Sit back. Going to have a not so boring talk about climate and economy. So, as I was, delving into this topic, I was reading a book called Climate Shock by Wagner and Weizmann. I have no idea if I pronounce it right, but it's Climate Shock. The economic consequences of a hotter planet. Literally, climate economy, right? Now, so the first chapter and the preface, it talk about a thing that really pulled me in, that really held me, that hooked me. I was really hooked. So it talks about the big four of climate change. Now, the big four are four major factors that make climate change a big, big, big problem for us in the world right now, yesterday, and tomorrow, until we actually solve it, if we manage to. Now, those four factors make climate change very difficult to solve, and I hope that eventually humanity is gonna just come together and solve it, because I don't want a hotter planet. This summer was hot, and it seems to be getting hotter, and that is very uncomfortable for me and eventually everyone, right? So, like, one of the four factors, actually, all the four factors are unique to climate change, because as far as I know anyways, like, all these factors are unique to climate change. So first of all is that climate change is uniquely irreversible. It is irreversible because, like, if we stop emissions today, for the next 100 something years, it will still be like this. The emissions, the temperatures, the carbon, the amount of carbon in the air, it's still gonna be the same, even if we stop emitting right this instant as we talk, right? And that's discouraging. You're like, okay, so what's the point of doing it anyways? Like, what's the point of trying to change my habits yet there won't be any effect? And it's painful to think about. You're like, okay, even if we stop emissions and there's an effect, like after 100 years, we won't be here. We won't be here. Chances are, if you have a lot of years from now, you have 80 years. 100 years from now, there's a chance you won't be here to witness the changes of your actions, right? So really, it is discouraging, and that makes it a very, very discouraging problem, because usually you are like, if I keep doing this, the problem is gonna get worse. But if I stop, there's going to be it's gonna show there's going to be a better effect and a better situation, and I will actually benefit from it. But then climate change. We are about 200 countries on this planet, different sizes, different emissions. But if we all decide to stop, we won't even live to see the change. And that's not just because the climate will affect our health. It's just the way it is. Science has not managed to prolong our longevity beyond 150 years. I mean, roughly. That's among the highest ages I've ever heard of. Right? So we might not live to see this. So it's really discouraging for some of us to just quit our habits that are against the climate. But then another problem is that climate change is uniquely global. Honestly, I've been thinking for 2 months about what other problem is this global. Honestly, I found none. Seriously, because look at this. There is the US, there is Japan, there are lots of countries that are big and are big on industrialization, right? Then there's us, Africa. There's lots of things. All of us are eventually contributing to climate change, but again, we're not contributing the same amount. So according to Wagner and Weizmann, Africa, okay, if I'm not mistaken, there's a source. I'll find it. There's a source that says that Africa, as a continent, emits less than 4% of carbon emissions globally. It means that 55 countries emit much less than a few other countries. It's a big deal because I don't know how much the US emits, like on average, or like the percentage. I don't know what China emits, in the whole percentage. But what I know is that Africa emits less than 4%. 50 something countries. But our summers are getting hotter. Our seasons are getting more unpredictable. Is it just because of our 4%? I doubt, because really, it's not that much. We're not even that industrialized. Like right now, I'm in a place with one industry. Like, okay, I could basically walk this like a 7-10 minute walk to that industry, and it doesn't even emit that much. But this place where I am, the seasons are just unpredictable. Like in the morning, you see the sun, and you're like, okay, let me not wear a sweater. 10 a.m., a shower. And then you're like, okay, let me get an umbrella and a sweater. You get them. 2 p.m., there's the brightest sun you've ever witnessed. Like, it's very unpredictable. And I'm really not against the sun, and I'm not too against the rain, but the unpredictability of seasons has been increasing since the Industrial Revolution. That is like 1750. People who studied history very well, see the time to shine. But around those years, when the Industrial Revolution started, that is the time when seasons began rising in unpredictability. It's because it's a global problem. What China emits, what those big powers emit, eventually reaches us. Because we all share the same ozone layer, and if we emit, it's gonna destroy the ozone layer that we all share, right? We all share that, so we also share the problems. We're also going to share the effects of the emissions, even though we do not have the same amount of emissions. Now, the effect of climate change is not even proportional to what we emit. So basically, we are losing more than we're supposed to lose, and that is a big problem because like it means if we want to solve climate change, it means that we, the countries that are emitting less, will have to work just as hard as those who put us in this mess. It means that, let's say the US is emitting 32%, it's just an assumption, and we, Africa, are emitting less than 4%. We are going to work as hard as the US in preventing a problem that they have contributed to 8 times more than we have. And that is, it's not just discouraging, it's just not even feasible for some of our developing countries, especially sub-Saharan Africa. So like the fact that climate change is global and it's also irreversible makes it a big deal. It's really difficult. And then, hey, the next two, goodness. Actually, there's a fifth one. It's a bonus one. Yeah, not like we want a bonus of problems, but yeah, that's just the way it is. This is where we are. We better get used to it and start working on it, because there's no other way of doing it. So now, climate change is uniquely long-term, Like, it's related to what I was talking about, it being irreversible. Like, if we do something against climate change, yes, there will be an effect, but you want to be reversing the effects that we have already caused, right? Now, the fact that it's long term means that really, if we stop next year, if we stop emitting next year, or let's say we reach carbon net zero in 2030, that is 7 years from now, the earliest that we can see the effect is in 2150. That is like 120 years from now, 127 years from now, It's going to take a long time to get these emissions out, because this carbon dioxide does not want to move. It does not want to move out of our atmosphere, and we cannot repair our ozone layer. Please, if you can, please do. But right now, I believe we cannot do this, right? I believe that the way we are, eventually, if we continue at this rate, we might actually take action when it's too late. And then when it's too late and we stop when it's too late, Well, it will be too late. There is nothing else to change. We're just gonna let the sun come. We're just gonna let the sun rays come. They hit us with UV rays. We get skin cancer. We all die. Animals and plants all get extinct. It's all problems because of this long-termness of climate change. And then now, here is one of the worst things about climate change. It is uniquely uncertain. We have no idea. We do not know what can happen if we do something or if we don't. You know? Like, yes, scientists are giving us estimations, but even them are speculating. They're speculating. Let's say if today we cut emissions by a half, we are not sure if the effect, if the global temperatures will be halved, or I don't know. We have no idea. We don't know what effect our efforts will have on our climate. We do not know if it will take it back or bring it lower than before the Industrial Revolution, because most of the climate issues that have come beginning from the Industrial Revolution, right? So we don't know exactly what will happen if we do anything about climate change. If we keep emitting, we do not know how that will affect us. If we stop emitting, we do not know how it will affect us. All of this is an assumption. All of this is just logical expectations of what can happen, right? And now the fact that, it almost depresses me to think about this, but climate change is it's uncertain, it's irreversible, it's long-term, it's global. Damn, it's a lot. Really, and that's why I understand that we really haven't progressed much. Like, yes, we have progressed in trying to save our environment, but we're not there yet. I appreciate our efforts, but we still have a long way to go. Considering the trade-offs, like sacrifices you have to make, you know? Like, talk about industries that use fossil fuels. They're producing to give consumers, and to also give taxes to the governments. So basically they're contributing to the economy. Now, what will happen if we actually ban those fossil fuels? It means that they will have to find an alternative source of energy. And most of these sources of energy, we have not tried them yet. They have not become popular enough to be affordable. So it means that moving from fossil fuels to safer energy sources is going to be expensive. And that might actually ruin our economy. As a country, as a continent, as a region, globally, it's gonna affect us. But now these trade-offs, these sacrifices, I mean, it's hard to make sacrifices, but that's why they're sacrifices. But I believe we really have to make them, you know? Because if not, this is the one planet that we have. Yes, we're talking about moving to Mars. You know, hi Elon Musk, hi. It's really nice to see you here. But really, if we keep living like this on Earth, thinking that our hope is Mars. Look at how long we've been thinking about Mars. Have we gone there? We have not. We're simply not ready for that. We're not ready to relocate. Besides, if the planet was ready for us to relocate, we'd move with the same habits. And if we move with the same habits, we're going to ruin that planet and keep going to the next. We have 8 planets. Pluto is not a planet anymore. It's just a dwarf planet. Right? We have few planets to risk. And Mercury and Venus are not options. I mean, we'd just be fried. Right? So like, it's a big problem. And yeah, that is why, like, that's one of the things that made me change my mind about, you know, climate activists. Like, we can't just leave this job to them. This is a global problem. It's a global issue. It's facing all of us. It's like COVID. Whatever you do, it's gonna affect you. It's gonna affect us. So let's just, you know, find a way together of you know, getting through this and, you know, trying to solve it. Because otherwise, this is a planet we have. If we die, we die, but the climate dies. The planet dies with us, and I don't know where we'll be buried. If we'll be buried on this planet and be fried, I don't know. I do not know, because at this rate, it might actually happen. So like, really, I just hope that many of us change our minds about how we treat the climate, about what we do, our tiniest habits. See, like, our tiniest habits can actually have the biggest of impacts. It's the other is it the butterfly effect? I think it's the butterfly effect, whereby a very tiny thing can lead to big problems. Big problems. But then another bigger problem that we're facing is self-interest. Like, yeah, it's these trade-offs I'm talking about. We do not want to sacrifice our productivity for the climate. Yet, in the long run, it is actually going to come back and either hug us or bite us. It's going to bite us if we stick to the fossil fuels, which are going to get exhausted, by the way. And it's going to come back to hug us if we transition ASAP to these safer, greener energy sources, right? So honestly, personally, what if I had the power to, I would personally impose like something like carbon tax. You know, I mean, I don't know if it's already implemented, but like carbon, how do you call it again? Carbon credits. Then, for example, we say that this company is going to emit 40,000 tons of carbon dioxide a year, maximum, and you actually have to pay for them. You buy them, right? And then if you have extra, you sell them to a company that needs more. If you exceed, you pay for more, you know. But then eventually, in the long run, like all the carbon credits put together must not exceed a particular amount, you know. So I think it's going to require a lot of cooperation with scientists, with climatologists, to find out the threshold of emissions you should not cross by a year, so that you can actually find a way of distributing them proportionally according to each person's or each company's need, each country's need, something like that. But honestly, we have a long way to go, and sometimes I just feel like, damn, it's gonna be hard. It really is, and I really cannot wait to see Earth in 2030 when it's actually net zero. I do not know if we're gonna achieve that, but according to UN, we are moving towards that. I want to see what net zero looks like, what it feels like, especially in the summer, because it gets unbearably hot. Unbearably hot. Like, I really want to see this, but I want to see the planet coming back to a reasonable state. Because right now the climate is drunk. It's high on drugs. The drugs are carbon dioxide, my guy. It's just too much. So just hope to see us, you know, move to something better. Anyways, so that was the end of today's talk. I hope that maybe you gained something from this video about, you know, what you're gonna do about climate change, climate economy, emissions, small habits. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time with a different topic. I am also curious that I cannot wait to see you guys there. Thank you.